Shady silhouetted images and industry teasers are finding their way into our homes and invading our minds. Their calculated information is delivered to feed our addiction for radio-controlled frequencies. It's an RC conspiracy. But we are on your side, cracking the RC code. Because the truth is out there. Welcome to the RC Conspiracies podcast. Get your decoder rings ready and put on those tinfoil hats because your fearless leader is here. Please welcome your host, the lead RC conspiracist, Tony CC. Welcome to the RC Conspiracies podcast.
Welcome guys, midweek RC Conspiracies, and I love it when we kind of get some things right that we talk about and we conspire and we kind of try and figure out what's going on. And the SMT10 is one we've been guessing about and wondering when it's going to be released. They've been giving us lots of teasers starting back in June that it was coming, and so we've just been waiting and trying to guess what it could be. They were asking us questions about what we wanted. Lots of cool stuff. So this is a bonus round of RC Conspiracies, and it is going to probably be the last one of this year. We'll kick back up in January on Tuesday nights at 9:30. We're changing the date and or the day of the week for that. We have Joey Gargaro on the line with us. He is on hold for a minute as we kick things off here. But we're going to be talking about the SMT10. We're going to be talking a little bit about RC monster truck racing and the role that the SMT10 plays in monster truck racing, RC style, and good stuff. So we'll be having you guys ask questions. Be listening if you have questions about the racing scene or the SMT10s. We'll try to get to that. Be hitting in the comments, and as Joey's talking, I'll be trying to get to it. And so let me get him back in here, and we'll let him introduce himself. Joey.
Okay, cool. No Limit RC. We have chapters up and down the East Coast, Florida, to a couple of Virginia, Maryland. Trying to get Pennsylvania back on board, Ohio's on board, and we race monster trucks once a month usually. We also host the large event at the Grave Digger shop every May, which I believe to be the largest monster truck event in the world, but I'm not positive, but I'm pretty sure.
It's massive, right? There's a lot of people.
Yeah. It's the largest in the country. And I'm pretty sure there's no other countries around the world that are putting on monster truck events. So, in my words, I'm saying it's the largest in the world.
Even real
huge
scale ones, like full size. I mean, the U.S. kind of they go big like Texas, right?
That's right. We don't play. So.
And so, when did you get involved with No Limit?
I've been with No Limit from the beginning. I think it was 2008 when we started. It was started with some guys out of Florida. They ran under a different name. They started their own thing, and then right away asked if we wanted to start a chapter in Virginia. Since then, those guys have stepped away to do other things in their lives, and I've taken over all of No Limit, as well as running the Virginia chapter.
Okay. And you said that you got into it. We'll rehash this for a quick second, but you got into nitro big time. Is that what really got you into the hobby, hardcore?
Yeah, my first trucks was all Savages. I've still got a bunch in the garage, but nobody wants them. So yeah, you started with that. It was tough to even get an electric truck, but I went ahead and got an E-Savage way back in the day, just so that I could race in another class. And it's just, the electric, as you know, has evolved so much from then, and now
even in the last 3 to 4 years, the amount that's gone up to 6S, 8S, I mean, they're pushing it like crazy.
It is. It's crazy. I mean, before, you had a couple of brush motors and some nickel metals, and you were hoping that you could go kind of fast, but nothing like it is today.
So did you explain how the race format is as far as it's not lap racing? Did you give us a little bit of that?
That's correct. We don't do lap racing. You got one chance to get it right. We do racing just like if you watch Monster Jam on TV. That's what we do. We come out, we do a qualifying pass on a similar type track. They change every event, and we put you into a bracket based on times, and then you come out and you race your way through. You got to keep winning to keep moving.
That's why I'm so bad at it, is that one shot. I'm getting better, though. I'm learning. So
hey,
Troy's...
I've been doing this.
Go ahead.
I've been doing it for 13 years, and some days I go out there and act like I've never driven a truck before.
Oh, my gosh. 2.2's last race for me was the worst. I couldn't drive straight. Troy's Hobbies does have a question. He says, what would it take to get a chapter going in Colorado?
Give me a shout.
Okay.
Talk to me afterwards. Hit me up on Facebook.
Yep, and we have the page up here, the No Limit RC of Virginia. They got the race schedule. We're going to be doing indoors this winter, which will be nice. But there's photos and stuff here.
I'm going out there tomorrow to check that place out, look at the surface, and see what we're working with. I'm excited about it. I think I'm going to take a truck just to drive and see what it's all about.
Nice. Here's photos. There's tons of people that come out to the this is at the World Finals, all these photos here.
Mm-hmm.
Lots
we
of
literally
trucks.
have people come from all over the world. We had over 500 trucks competing this year.
So there's rules and all that are listed on these pages if you guys are curious what it is. The reason I have Joey on is we're talking about the SMT10 got announced. They re-released it today. We knew it was coming. We didn't know when, but we knew it was. And so we've been waiting and waiting to hear when that day is going to be. And so we do now have it, and we can see what it is, and we want to talk about it. But one of the things that I think is important is the role that it plays in RC monster truck racing. I think they're one of the biggest consumers of this. It does still go, there's bashers that do like this as well, but it's definitely, I think, a lot of the guys that are in the race scene get these or start with these, mod them, do a whole bunch of stuff. So we've been asking for it for a while. We wanted to have this available and an entry point for people to get into racing. So explain how this changed things as you guys were doing monster truck racing, because the solid axle phenomenon in the race monster truck racing is somewhat new, right?
No, it's not. The solid axle has been around for a long time.
Okay.
But it's been a real specialized product. It's either been a modified quad, or it's been something that somebody homemade, or you're lucky enough to have a machine shop or whatever it is. And it was a real small section, but it was the addition of the SMT10. It's made it so that anybody can go get a good running solid axle truck and be competitive with it, or like you said, go in the backyard and bash with it. It's amazing how many guys bash with this truck, and it takes it.
It takes it, is that what you said? I couldn't hear that.
Yeah, it takes all the beating.
Yeah.
A couple of upgrades, and this truck, I mean, some of the videos you've seen, it's insane. It's a solid built truck.
Yeah, and, there's a couple of things that I had. So the first time I ever drove one was at the No Limit RC, the World Finals. That was my first ever race with you guys. I figured if I'm going to do it, I'm going to start with the big one. I don't know why I did that. I just thought it was cool. It was at Digger's Dungeon. I drive by there all the time. And so I said one day I'm going to show up. And so I'd worked with Josh, and I bought one at Debbie's RC World. He told me what I needed to get in order to even get into it, because I didn't have a clue. And so he sold me a castle system. He sold me like a digital servo to move the big wheels. And he sold me, I think at that time they had the Pro Line tires, the 2.6s, is what he had at the shop that they were selling. So I bought those, and I just showed up. I did not have front sway bars, any of that, and I was squirrely, and I had a blast. But I didn't know how slow they were out of the box until I got a Max D when they went on sale. And I realized that, what the experience that I got with it first time out of the gun, I never drove it without brushless in it. And,
right.
And I put in a whole hot racing gearbox too, because he told me everything I would need. Josh had, I guess, seen him enough come in with stuff burned up that he was smart enough to sell me metal gears, which is, I bring that up because we'll talk about that in a second, because that's some of the upgrades that they've done to this. But what are some of the upgrades that you've done to your trucks? Do you run the
same
stock?
thing you've listed off.
Okay.
I run stock shocks. I run stock axles. I run stock gearing. I do this metal upgrade. I do a servo. I do a capsule system in it, and then tires.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't mess with anything else. And of course,
well, in 2.2, you don't even mess with tires. You run the BKTs that come on it, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
Yeah. So this thing that they've released, they've changed some of it, I think, to make it a little bit more fun for people out of the box, but also stronger so that when people want to upgrade, it's not going to destroy it. Because that is, disheartening when someone's like, oh yeah, put a brushless in, it'll go faster. And then you do, and it's, you kill it, the first run. Yeah. First time. And then it's just smoking, smells like burnt metal, or not metal, plastic.
Yeah. Burnt plastic for sure.
So what do you think?
It's a huge upgrade.
Yeah.
So to come with the metal gears, it's a huge upgrade, that the guy doesn't have to worry about. I think it's awesome.
Now, do you change? So there's only one thing that I wish they would have added. There's some people that really are down on it. They really wanted like a 2.0, and I understand why they didn't a lot of ways, because of what the market can bear, basically, and what people will buy besides us racers. They need to think about what'll sell on the shelves to a general audience. And but there's one thing I think that I missed that I wish was on there. But what do you think overall about what they've done here? And they've also given us a builder's kit, which is a whole nother option for people.
I think they listened to what the people needed. You need a faster motor. You need a better servo, a better radio. The metal gears, like we said already. I think they've almost, and with able to keep it within the price point. I think they hit it out of the park.
Oh, the price point's awesome.
The price point's where it should be for a truck to where it is. Before, I believe it was way out of range.
I didn't buy it when it came out because I thought $400 was too much for it.
It was, and then they have to put another $400 into it to be competitive. Now you got a truck that if you're going to bash with it, and we haven't driven it yet,
right?
But if you've got a truck that if you're going to bash with it, I feel like it'll handle a lot better. Before it was like really a crawler, really. Now I think we've got an upgraded system in it with the ESC and all. But you mentioned that the builder's kit, dude, at $200.
That's crazy.
You can't go wrong with that. Yeah. You can't buy a transmission in axles for that price.
Right. Especially if you're not going to run a 2.2 class, if you plan to do like a pro mod and you don't need those tires. Because, it can add up quickly beyond the ready to run price if you need to buy just small stuff. But if you're looking to really soup your truck up, that savings out of the gun is nice. Because like you were saying, you'd buy it for $400, then you drop another $400. That's $800 for a truck.
Right.
But you could probably get in with a decent one for $500 now for a race truck, brushless and all that.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, that's insane. Because that's what short course trucks, the race ones, run at $500-$600, something like that for the 4-wheel drive. If you were to buy it ready to run, there's a bunch of people in here saying that they're excited about it. Choice Hobbies, All Out RC says he got into the hobby because of monster trucks, which I said earlier is the same thing that brought me in. Someone's asking what scale is the RC in the photo. They've answered that's 1/10. And Christopher, yay, yes, it's $299 for the ready to run, $199 for the builder's kit. So they kept the Grave Digger. Do you think they'll have other bodies or anything coming out for these that'll go for the builder's kit?
I don't have any idea.
Yeah.
I wish I knew. I'd love to see some different color chassis. I'd love to see some different options on bodies, but
yeah,
I don't know if we're going to see that. I mean, licensing is expensive, and we're trying to keep us down where it's affordable, and I think they've done that. So you start asking for other stuff, and then we're back up to the $400 truck.
Right.
So,
and the black chassis gives you a lot of options. I kind of wish there was a white one, because then you could dye it just about any color you wanted.
I've got two chassis that are painted. One's orange, one's gray, and it takes paint just fine if you use the right paint. One of them started black, one of them started, actually I got three of them. One of them started green and is painted black, and then I've got the other two.
What was the last one? It started black and it's now what?
It's black.
Oh, but it was green?
It was green. Now it's painted black.
Okay. I was reading the comments. I missed it.
Oh, right. Yeah, I got one painted orange and one painted gray, and then I got one that's straight black.
I like the gray one a lot. I do like the gray one that you have a lot. And they both are holding up pretty well. And I've seen some other. I mean, I know Adam Anderson last night at like 1 a.m. He was rattling a spray can on Instagram Live, and they were painting a chassis up.
Cool.
Yeah,
I missed that.
Yeah, it popped up. I was up editing, and I jumped over, and I'd seen kind of what they were doing, so I had an idea, because he talked about how quickly he stripped down the chassis in a previous video. And then when I heard the rattle can, I'm like, he's spraying that chassis down. So it does work. But I think they're great price points. I ordered one of each, because I'm going to do videos on them to show them a build one. I wanted a black one because I'd saved a Max D, which I recently traded to Matthew Hall, but I was going to use that for a bog hog. And now that there's this builder's kit, I already have the wheels. I'll get some kind of probably just a brush system to throw in there, since it's going to be going in the mud, and old receiver, whatever, call it a day. Because I have a lot of those kind of things laying around, so that'll be a cheap build from that, because I already have everything ready to go. And then I wanted to show what this one handles like as far as the speed out of the box. And I'm going to leave it stock. I'm going to see what I can do with it with that 12-turn motor. And the links staying plastic, because that's one of the upgrades that gets expensive, is when you start doing metal links and all of that. It tends to get a little bit pricey. And I think that when we do that too, we also add extra strain to our rear axles, or both axles, but because there's not any give, if you do land a little bit crazy.
I agree with you 100%. They'll give. If you don't, next thing you're going to have is a broken axle.
Yeah. And I've had about AR60s. I've probably broken about 8 of them. And that gets expensive. Because usually when I break it, I land on the right side, which is the long side. And it breaks, but then it also bends the axle inside. And so then replacing the casing and the axle, it's always like a $60 experience. But yeah, not fun. But I'm going to try this one completely stock and see what it does. Now, do you upgrade your links?
No. They're all stock.
Do yours have bends in them, or like where they're kind of crumpled?
No.
No? Wow.
I have got my drive shafts will start to candy cane, so you have to change them out.
Okay.
But all of my links have been fine.
Okay. So I've been hinting at it. There's one thing I think is missing, and I think that's the front sway bars. I felt like that's a miss to not include that for a scale monster truck. I don't get why they only put it in the rear when you obviously see it. Anybody that's driven it, how bad that front end really torque twists. It'd probably be worse if
Yeah,
they didn't have them on the rear, but it's really bad.
the first one I ever built, I didn't have them on the front to start with, and it's horrible. So it was the next thing I did was, and they all have them.
Yeah.
And I use the stock ones. The stock ones I think were just fine.
Okay. Stock. So you just bought a kit?
Yeah.
For the front? Because I buy the bomber ones, which is the same setup as the rears, but it's a soft spring, and they've been fine. It's just that it was the cheapest way to buy them because it came with everything.
Right.
So I think the stock ones you buy like a spring set and then the plastic separate, so it's like a 2-part deal or something.
Mm-hmm.
And then I bought one where it all just comes in and it's a little cheaper, but I wish they had the sway bars on the front. That's the only thing I feel like they could have just added, because it doesn't change. They didn't have to make anything like 2.0 or do any of that. They could have just taken a set of the rears and put them in the front and called it a day. But not a huge thing. It's not super expensive to get it yourself. I just think some new people may not know about it and get it and be like, man, my truck doesn't handle well, you know? But
I wonder how they did the servo saver, because the old servo saver was a problem. It would break pretty easy.
You know,
you can't tell from the pictures if that was changed.
No, and so there's a couple differences. I should have been showing these as we were going. You mentioned the ESC. That's a 60 amp Dynamite. A 550 can 12 turn. So it's not only a 12 turn like Traxxas or whatever, but it's a 550. So it's a bigger can, more torque, more speed. They did the metal gears, which is awesome, in the transmission. And then a lot of the stuff is the same, but a lot of this stuff worked all right. It looks like that same servo saver. And that thing, that little metal band would pop on it.
Yep. Again, it's not a super expensive. I don't even run servo savers on mine. They're all straight horns, but
yeah,
I remember when they had the stock ones, you run it till it breaks, and that thing would break pretty fast.
Yeah. Yeah, I broke all of them. Some of them are saying the brush motors are good. And there's a lot of aftermarket parts. That's the one cool thing too, is like if they would have changed this completely, they wouldn't have had all of the parts that are already being made by everybody and are adaptable over, you know. So Josh Williams is in the house. He's saying it's the same as far as the servo saver. I just like the chassis. I like the build of it. I like the battery tray. It feels like it's weighted good with the battery placement where it is. I like that they, so one of the worries they said, I think when I was talking with some of the people was, they didn't want kids getting them out. And so they're solid axle. And so they're not as strong. Would you agree and say solid axle trucks aren't as strong as independent suspension trucks? I don't think they're as forgiving, right?
That's a factual statement. However, with this truck, I think it has made a difference.
Yeah. But still, like, even I think Josh might be able to answer this, but I think they had one over in the little hobby town thing at the last race, the Toys for Tots, in that little area, and so one of the kids clipped something, and I think they broke something on the axle. But it's not as forgiving when you do clip a wheel on something, like a wall or the side of a jump. You'll break, a C-hub or things that you don't. I don't know. They're not as forgiving, I don't think. And so I think that's partly why they dialed the speed back. But I think this is smarter because on these transmitters that they've got are the STX2s, and that has throttle limiting on it. So you have like a dual rate for your throttle, so you can turn it down if you want to give it to a kid or somebody it's their first time. They don't have to start with the full power behind it. And so I think this is a better way to limit speed for people that might need the limit from the get-go. But that's not what I ever want to do. I never want to limit the speed, at least when I'm driving. But I run into problems because of that. I brake a lot. But it's a good-looking truck.
I've seen your videos from the backyard.
Yeah, I broke the Creighton 8S today. in the backyard. It's a bummer. Got new parts in the mail. I hit the jump weird, and it sent it. So it spun 180. It did a couple barrel rolls and spun 180, and it landed backwards. And the wheels are still spinning forward, you know? And I'm trying to right it with the throttle, and so the wheels are still spinning. I don't land on throttle, but they still have enough momentum, so when it hits backwards and the wheels are spinning forward, that just created like torque on that arm, and it just broke it. So yeah.
You'll break stuff that way.
Yep. Josh says, "Oh Lord," again. But the kit. So the kit looks nice, and it's just a great looking chassis, just in general, which is why I had that steel one made from it. It just looks real. You know, even when you're doing body posts or something like this for these trucks, it feels right because so many of those trucks have those supports for their bodies. I wish we could make a mount a little bit closer to how they do, but especially with the Grave Digger, it feels like it could mount. You'd have to have some kind of cage on it, but if you could mount from the bottom up through that back cutout, have the post come down, that'd be really, really cool. But yeah, let's look in here, see if anybody's got something in the chat that they're saying. They're saying the kit looks nice. He's Angry Dave's Adult RC says, "Have you seen real MTs? They break constantly. Nature of the beast." And that's the truth, right?
Yes, they do.
That's the truth.
I don't know if you saw it. I put a post or a meme on my Facebook page one time. Monster trucks are like strippers. You got to keep feeding them money to keep them working. They're the same thing.
Yeah. This is because of them breaking. I got this son of a digger panel over here. Broke off a son of a digger. And so they're constantly selling that stuff, but I know that they go through the chassis as well. The chassis are pretty tough, just like with these trucks, but you're going to break wheels off, blow that kind of stuff out. So somebody's saying here the old motor was 540 27 turn, which is equivalent of 1800 kV. The new 550 12T is the equivalent of a 3100 kV.
That's pretty decent.
Yeah. And they still suggest to only run it on 2S out of the box. I think it'll be better for a first time person. I'll still probably want to change the motor out eventually, or use that one as like the Try Me truck for kids that come over to my house, because they always want to run the monster trucks. Like, I've got a wall of monster trucks, and they always want to run them. And there's no way they're running my retros. Like, nah. Like, those things are too fragile to take off of jumps, which is what they're going to want to do, or run it into a wall.
Right.
But, I'll give them one of the SMTs or whatever, but turn it down on my radio. But I have a nicer radio, so I can do that. But, yeah. But anyway, Hoonigan went over the build on Son of a Digger. Really cool vid. So, yeah, there's the new Son of a Digger chassis. That's the one truck I would love for them to make. But having colored chassis becomes a problem for them probably a little bit.
I'm sure. But I'm with you, though. That would be a great one to do.
And it would sell.
It's such a cool-looking truck.
Yeah, and it would sell, just like the Grave Digger does.
Like crazy. Because
of what Ryan's doing out there. Both of them. They both, last weekend or whatever, Adam took 2 wins. He took racing and 2-wheel skills, and then Ryan took the freestyle. So they're just out there tearing it up. But I don't know, it's fun. I love to have them on the, as showpieces. I love to work on them because they're actually really easy to work on too. Yeah. Do you find that about them?
I think they're very easy to work on compared to some other trucks I've dealt with.
Yeah.
Just a few screws and the whole bottom creative comes out, to change motors or whatever.
Yeah. 4, I believe.
It's not much. It don't take much to work on them. They're very easy.
And then to get to the diffs is easy too. You don't have to take apart a whole shock tower assembly, any of that. You literally just take off that diff cover and boom, it's right there.
Yeah. If you've ever changed a diff in a first generation Savage, geez, you get carpal tunnel doing that.
Right. I felt that way about my Losi short course truck. I might have done it the wrong way, but I felt like I had to take the whole back of the car apart just to get to it. But
Yep.
yeah, I'm excited. I think this is going to allow more people to come out and race, which is, I mean, that for me, that's the best part of it. Is that it's a truck that can come out and compete, and especially in the 2.2 class, I think, because even though I'm running brushless in there, I don't feel like I'm that fast, even on 3S. So,
right.
You know, I feel like this could probably still compete. So I can't wait to get one and try it. But
I think it'll definitely compete. And what I like about it, when people ask me, how do you get started in monster truck racing? I send them in this direction because all the reasons we talked about today, but you can also get more bang for your buck because you can race it in two classes. You can race it in the 2.2 with the tires it comes with, and then eventually get the bigger tires and race it in the Pro Mod class.
Yeah, just swapping out the tires. But the I'm curious how this will do stock. That's where I found though was the problem when I put the big tires on stock, and I felt like I was doing more damage to the links and all that. But you said you didn't have any issue. So maybe most of my issue comes when I'm just freestyling with it in my backyard and I'm landing harder down and causing it. But for racing, you should be all right stock.
Absolutely. I don't have any problems with any of them.
Yeah. Well, there it is. So if you're going to get one to race, you can leave the plastic links on and all that, and you're good to go. If you're going to want to bash with it, beef tubes in the axles are a good thing, and then metal links are a good thing.
Agreed.
But so when I get one, that's the only things I do is I do beef tubes, metal links, metal gear transmission, which is already there, and then brushless. And when I blow out the ring and pinion, I do the HD ones when I replace them. And then I've never replaced them again.
I got a ring and pinion to change right now.
Oh, yeah.
But if you do metal links, you're going to have to do beef tubes because that's going to be the next break.
Yep. Yeah, because they don't flex. And I stopped doing metal drive shafts because I was blowing out diffs. I'd rather on too hard of a start or, landing on throttle or whatever, I'd rather licorice or candy cane the drive shafts than blow out the diff.
Right.
So, and it's usually only that centerpiece that goes bad. And you just drop a new one of those in and you're good to go.
That's right.
Yep.
Easy to fix.
So what would you tell somebody that's looking to get into the RC monster truck as far as starters? Would this be the truck that you would encourage them to get? And why?
Like I said a few minutes ago, that's the way I do it. I tell them that this is where it's going. This is where the direction the hobby's taking. It's a reasonable price truck. And like I said, you can race it in two different classes if you're into racing with it, so you get more bang for your buck that way as well. And it's the most realistic.
Yeah. Yeah. And the realism is what I think draws a lot of us to it, is that scale factor. It's kind of like the guys like the scale crawlers. Well, this is which is why I think it's in Axial's wheelhouse, is because of the scale factor of it.
Right.
And they knew they could do it with their axles that they had for the Wraith. But you get scale guys doing stuff. If they're going to build that's why they do like the Yeti and anything else like that. They always did it scale, to trucks that were out there. And I think they definitely have a winner. In my opinion, these trucks are winners, and they've just made them better while also making them cheaper. And so I think that's why the re-release in my mind is successful. Even though some people have some complaints about it, I think it's because they were able to bring the price down while also making it better. Yeah, I think it's pretty sweet.
I agree 100%.
Anybody in the comments have any questions for Joey? Anything about No Limit? Orange Crush RC says he's hoping he can meet up with the No Limit crew in Florida once he builds his.
Check them out on their Facebook page. You can see their schedule.
Yep. Josh Williams is also saying that for beginners getting into the racing, the Arma Outcast 4S and the Creighton 4S are great. Yeah, so if you want to do independent, those are a very cheap way to get into it because they're ready to go. I top qualified with mine, right? Out of the completely stock tires and everything last weekend with the 4S Creighton.
They're a great truck, and they're strong, and they're fast.
Yep.
But keep in mind, to race with us, you got to lock up your center diff or lock down that center slipper clutch if it has a slipper. I forget which one has which.
Yep.
What was it? Who was it? Troy's Hobbies that wanted to get a chapter
in Colorado. Yeah.
Yeah, in Colorado. Troy's. I guess it's Troy. Get me on Facebook, send me a PM, and we'll talk about it. I have a few rules to follow, but I'm easy to get along with. So I'd love to have a chapter out that way. That'd be great.
That would be cool. I would want to go race there at some point. I love Colorado.
We'll
goodness.
do a road trip out that way.
Yeah.
I try to make a road trip to all my chapters and race with them every now and then.
Right.
I got Shenandoah Valley is getting ready to come back on. Got a new guy that's ready to get going. So I suspect somewhere in the maybe January, February timeframe where they'll start running their first events out there. So I guess we have to see what the weather looks like in that part of the country.
Yeah.
Up in northern Virginia.
Yeah. It's when I used to see what they would do, they had really like outdoor nice looking areas to run. So I'm excited about the indoor for the winter, at least. That's for sure. That building is going to be great for those of us here in Virginia Beach.
Super excited about that. But you know how it is around here.
It's different, but yeah.
As soon as we get an indoor place, it'll be 70 degrees outside.
Right. We'll be like, man, wish we were outside. It'll be nice, though, that it's consistent, too, though, so you can kind of dial in for it. But
right.
It'll be interesting with the 4S stuff in the Creightons and all that in a building. I haven't done that before.
Yeah, you're going to have to turn them down.
Yeah, no joke. Through the walls, sticking Creightons out of into drywall. But well, Joey, thank you for coming on here to talk about monster truck racing and the SMT10 and kind of what role it's played in there. And it looks like it's going to play a pretty strong role here going forward, at least into this season, being back out. And, you know, one of the things, because so many people, we should maybe talk about this. How many people come up to you, Joey, or to Josh is in here when we're racing and ask about the trucks? It's like every time there's probably, I don't even know, 12 people, 15 people at a smaller race, you know, like on a weekend in the parking lot. There's more that come and look, but that actually come and ask about them and are like, well, where can I get one of those? I feel like we're always saying, well, you know, you can go in and you can buy this one, but these ones are all custom and there's really nothing in there that you can get right now. And so I think it's amazing, and it's great for local hobby shops as well to be able to say, hey, man, go into Hobby Town or whatever your local shop is. They're going to have them on the shelves, or they can order you one and get you everything you need to get out here and get racing.
Right.
So I know you're emceeing, so they might not come up and interrupt you as much, but I know they come around that outside where we are all the time and ask questions about how they could get one. So,
and the next question is, how much is it?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And for the custom ones, you see a lot of jaws drop. Like, he spent how much?
That's right.
And then they're looking at the tables and how many people have at their table thinking, and they're probably thinking they all are that same amount. So, yeah. They're looking at us like we'd be crazy. Wow, there's a lot of comments I missed. I was stuck. So Angry Dave says, MT Racers in Western New York, are you affiliated?
No, I'm not with them guys.
Yeah. There's several different groups. There's Trigger King out in the Midwest.
Yep. They rule the West. They're good guys out there.
Yep.
We raced with them at
we did.
Fest. They're cool guys.
Illinois, Josh Rhodes was there. There's a bunch of other guys that were there. Eric was one of them. And I borrowed his Dremel because of the beef tubes. That is the one problem, is if you break something and you don't have your axles already Dremeled off, you could be out of luck.
Oh, wow.
Because you have to, in order to fit it through that tube, you have to Dremel off a little bit of the kind of like a stopper that they've got built into the metal there to keep it from going too far into the diff, I guess. I don't know exactly why, but yeah, right. People, Foundry says we're crazy, and I love it. So yeah.
Yeah.
But Josh Williams says sounds like a road trip.
Let's do it.
Yep. Well, I'm going to go ahead and wrap it up here. Joey, thank you for coming on and kind of last minute. And then I threw a wrench in with, I think I have to cancel. I can't get the software working. I think we got it for most of it, barring that one little glitch. I'm going to just probably put the video starting after that glitch because we kind of went through it all over again. And, but yeah, thank you for coming in. You guys check out the scene. There's No Limits around. Go ahead and look up No Limit RC. Find out if you got one near you. Find out if you've got other groups near you too. I mean, just getting into the hobby, it's fun. It's competitive in most of the groups, as you would see with other track racing that you'd see. Everybody that I've met has been very helpful. They tell you about their builds. They're more than willing to help you get better. And so it's a lot of fun and just a really good atmosphere at the track. So we'll catch you guys all later. I'm going to go ahead and drop the end screen for you, and we'll catch you guys next time.